Alright, hello everybody. This is Magic. I'm going to be doing some more analysis for you today. Today is episode number 3, and it is, what is it, the 13th of November, 2011. And, well, tonight we do have 7 games for you to look at here, or 7 games for me to look at and for you guys to just sit back and relax and enjoy. We are going to start off today with Democry. He has submitted, once again, a bunch of replays. I selected one of those to do. He was on episode number 1. I believe it was like the first game I did that day. And I promise you this, I will not have an overlay up at all during any of this except for between the games. So don't worry, I will be doing this 100%, and yeah, we won't be screwing that up. So without further ado, let's jump into this first game here with the Democry. I trust that you all can hear me. Yeah, my microphone thing is working and all that good stuff. Alright, so remove the overlay. Alright, we're good. Democry has spawned at the bottom left. His opponent is Soul, has spawned at the top left, or top right I should say, as our Terran player. So it is Zerg against Terran. Put up that fancy overlay. And we're actually going to be watching this through Democry's eyes. So let's go to that. Get out my notes. I'm still taking notes. I don't want to do these blind quite yet. I don't know if I'm quite up to par for that, but soon down the line I will be doing that. Alright, so Democry wanted me to focus on some mechanics, some scouting, using money, because we'll see a little bit later on, around the 10-minute mark, you'll just have a lot of money, and I'm going to be talking about ways to spend that. And, well, Democry does like to do a double gas trick. Get up that extra stuff. It might sound on. I just want to check that real quick. It should be on. There it is. Alright, now it's on. We're all good. Alright, so he's doing that double gas trick, which is cool. I don't have any problem with that. Do it however you want. 9 Overlord, 10 Overlord, 11 Overlord. Double gas trick, I don't care. It's not going to set you back that much. So just do whatever you want in that regard. I don't have any problem with that. Alright, so let's speed this up a little bit starting out. Democry's view, yes. Alright. So, one of the things that I've noticed in a lot of lower end replays, players just keep their screen on their hatchery. They want to see what's going on in their base. And that's fine, but it's not going to help you get better at multitasking. Like during battles, you're going to forget to produce units, and you're going to forget to produce overlords and all that. To remedy this, I would just say keep your eyes off your hatchery. Don't look at the hatchery game. So look at your overlord, look at your scouting drone. If you are scouting, you should be scouting sometime soon. Actually, it's pretty late even if you scouted now, so you do want to scout at some point just to see if there is 2 gases, or 1 gas, or 1 barracks, or what. Maybe he's throwing down a command center first, maybe a barracks first, maybe he's just going to build supply depots. That'd be really strange, but hey, you don't know because you don't see it. So he is going to be just going for a standard barracks play, so I mean it is good to scout and all that. But anyways, back to the hatchery game. What you do is you just look away, and you have your hotkeys set, right? Or actually, I'm on Terran right now. Let's go to Zerg. Let's see. So the hatchery's on 4, so you want to tap 4 to select the hatchery. Build whatever you got to do. If you see some larvae, build some drones. Then go back to your scouting drone. Watch him around. Tap 4, or well, I guess you can't tap 4, but you know, you hit 4. You know, you tap 4. You hit the button 4. You don't actually click down here. I got to click down there because I'm not actually playing. It's a replay, obviously, and well. Then you just go back to your drone. You just don't want to look at your hatchery. If you're building a building, of course, look back. You gotta look back to build that building. But you know, I just want to keep looking at your money, looking at your supply, looking at the mini map, and just keeping the main screen on your drone or Zerglings or whatever is out in the middle of the map. That'll just help you significantly. Just down the line, just getting better at multitasking and all that. Just play the don't look at the hatchery game. You know, if you gotta look, then look. You know, just try to do it as little as possible, and that'll just, you know, make you better at multitasking. And then you can just like say, okay, when I'm in battle, I need to make sure I keep doing that, tapping forward, looking to see what I gotta do. Then checking 5 at your queen, saying, okay, can I spew larva? Okay, I can. Okay, so spew larva. Personally, I have it kind of like in my head. I know the timing. I know, okay, like in my head, an alarm like kind of goes off and says, okay, spew larva. And then it'll come up again, spew larva, and so I'll just spew larva around those times. That's not really the best thing to do because it will kind of set you back when you're just having a bad day. and you just like will forget to spew larva all the time on certain days, and we'll just have really bad StarCraft days and then really good StarCraft days. So I have like a big dip in my play. So I'm actually really good some days and really bad some days. So I just gotta be careful with that. You just want to keep checking, tapping your queens and whatnot, tapping your hatcheries, seeing if they need. There's different ways to do it. Of course, Day 9 goes over it, so look for that video if you want to check it out that way. So Democrat going to be transferring some drones here, throwing up a spine crawler. I do like this play quite a bit, just getting everything up at good times. Now, of course, he doesn't really know too much about Terran. I saw something going up here. I'm pretty sure he saw the factory, so not a big deal. But he has no idea that this starport is underway. So I do want to talk about scouting a little bit. Usually around like the 6 minute or 7 minute, like 6:30 is fine. Just send an overlord in there. Even at high level play, that's fine to do. I mean, it's not that you should say, okay, I want to try to be the best I can be, so I should try to make every move as if I was that high level player. That's not really the way to go about it, in my opinion. Because at high level play, it's not that like they don't use overlords. I mean, they can. It's just that they know the plays from Terran so well that they don't actually need the overlord. They know that there's a starport here because of the gas count, because of what my opponent has. They check the front with the Zerglings. Democrat just did that very good. So yeah, you just saw all these buildings. Of course, that's not actually a factory still. That's actually the same factory, so that's kind of misleading. So you got to be careful of that. You got to make sure you see what you actually see or need to see instead of seeing the building in like a different spot. That's really misleading. You got to be careful of that. So there is going to be a lot of Banshees coming out here in a minute. We do have some tech labs going up for those starports. Cloak about finished as well. One thing I want to talk about is he does have a lot of larvae saved up at any given time, pretty much. The idea is early on, if you know you're going to be droning, and you pretty much should know that you're going to be droning because you're scouting. I mean, you have some Zerglings at the front, when he's going to be pushing out. You don't have to worry so much about producing units. So basically, every larva that you have should just automatically become a drone as soon as you know that you have that larva. You should not have any saved up larva ever, pretty much. Until like around like the 8 minute, 9 minute mark, and then you can say, okay, I should scout again, see what he's doing. Maybe I want to add just a couple of units out just to make sure, if you want to feel extra safe, just add on a couple of units, maybe a spine crawler or two. Just make sure that you have your guys at the watchtower. Of course, Democrat doing a good job of that. And well, there's some Banshees coming out. And whoops, wrong person. I was going to check the base here, see if he scouted. Okay, so he knows that there's at least one starport here. So that's pretty much the cue. Build at least one spore at each base. Add on some queens and all that good stuff. It looks like he's not going for any queens. I would just want to say that do not underestimate the queen. Like, if you have 2 queens, you can deal with 2 Banshees. And of course, you can use the queen from your natural. So I mean, it looks like he is going to be doing that. But he has thrown up a lot of spore crawlers. And you just want to be careful. You don't want to overcommit to any anti-air defense because Terran could just be going like 2 Banshees like all game long and it just attack you with the Marine tank thing like right after. So I mean, you got to be really careful with what you actually do. And that cuts your drone count down quite a bit also. So I mean, even in the late game, that does throw you off. A lot of players do tend to throw down too much defense. And I mean, that's okay. I mean, you're still learning. It's not like the worst thing that you can do. The worst thing that you can do is have a ton of money, so you got to be careful and you want to be spending that. Alright, so now it's around the 10 minute mark. Both players have a ton of money. Zerg has 2,000 minerals. So what do? Well, I mean, Democrat has sent another replay before. He was talking about, he said, it was good advice. If I got out some extra drones early on, I can afford a lot more later on. And that's absolutely true. Which also means that you need a hatchery or macro hatch expansion something. Typically, this time is actually a little bit late. If you don't really see too much pressure, like there were a couple Banshees out, not a big deal. But with a little bit of pressure, you can actually just get a hatchery up like around 8 minutes, like a macro hatch. Like, that sounds ridiculous, especially if you play Terran and Protoss at the same time. And Democrat actually plays all 3 races. He plays a random, so I mean, that's really confusing, to be perfectly honest. Like, Zerg is very different than Protoss and Zerg in a lot of ways. So I mean, you do kind of want to throw down this hatchery. Don't think of it as, okay, I need to expand now. Don't think of it as an expansion. Think of it as, okay, I need to add on more barracks. This hatchery is equivalent to like 2 barracks or like 2 starports or whatever. So I mean, just think of it that way. Like, oh, okay, I got a ton of money. I need to add on a barracks. So you add on a hatchery. So I mean, that's very good. At pro level play, players actually go for a third. around 8 minutes if there hasn't been too much like big aggression. Generally speaking, I mean, not all Zerg players, of course, play that way. But then they throw down a macro hatch on top of that, and it's like, it sounds ridiculous. So like they won't have any units out. They'll just throw down a macro hatch and be perfectly safe, because if they see Protoss or Terran move out of their base, they say, okay, I can just add on a whole lot of Zerglings with these hatcheries and be perfectly fine because I have the larva to do so, and I have the money to do so also because I've been droning very well. So Democrat this game doing a very good job with the drones. I would like to see a third here a little bit sooner with that kind of money. You want to be spending it as much as possible, and then I don't know, maybe you want to get the gases a little bit sooner. I don't know. It's kind of a touchy thing, the gas. So a lot of players will end up with a lot of gas, not a lot of minerals, or a lot of minerals, not a lot of gas. So I mean, that really should tell you, okay, what should I be doing right now? The idea being, of course, if you have a lot of gas, add on a lot of gas-heavy stuff. You know, some tech structures, some mutas, some hydras, some infestors, whatever you want, really. I mean, it's not really so much what you get. I mean, of course, you want to get what's good for the, of course, Terran doing whatever he's doing. You want to get whatever counters that, but don't worry about it so much. Just get whatever you want. And, well, since you have a lot of minerals in this case, you can throw on some extra hatcheries, get up a lot of Zerglings, and just build up your gas slowly, or so you can get up some mutas or get up some infestors or whatever whenever that pops and finishes. So yeah, right now you can actually add on a lot of hatcheries. I actually like to expand a ton as Zerg. I like to go low tech with a ton of expansions, which means tons of Zerglings, lots of counterattacking, not a lot of roaches or hydras until like a little bit later on. I guess like right now is when I generally get it, but it really depends on what's happened during the game, how good you are, how many drones you have, and whatever. So Terran here kind of just stumbling around with this group. He does have a bunch of Banshees here, a couple of tanks and Marines. Not the biggest group, but it is a pretty high-tech savvy type group, so you do gotta be careful of that. Just for the record, mech units are pretty much slower and much stronger than infantry units. So I mean, if you see mech, then he can't really expand a lot. It's gonna be harder for him to keep expansions, and then he's well, of course, in this matchup you do get Marines with that. So I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like in the middle, like he expands kind of a lot, but not too much or not too little. I don't know. It's tricky. It really is. But anyways, he's going to be setting up somewhat of a contain here, and I would just say as Terran, you got to be really careful because, well, this creep is really going to screw you over. Democry has very good creep spread this game, and I mean, that just pretty much means like the Zerglings and Banelings and things are going to be like instantly in your face instead of like running towards you. They're going to be like there, and then you just die. So yeah, this sucks for Terran. You just kind of lose all your stuff, and Democry just doing a good job cleaning that up. So now he even has that Overseer up. He has that those mutas up to help clean that up. He could chase after him. He's not going to, it looks like. Not a big deal. Let me see. Oh, I also want to say, since you do have a lot of Zerglings out, I mean, you're spending your gas as much as possible. You have a ton of minerals. Just expand a lot. Build up a bunch of hatcheries. I'd say usually for like Terran and Protoss, you want to add on some more barracks or gateways or something like that, or expand or do both. As Zerg, just expand over the place because your hatchery is your barracks. So just like get up a ton of hatcheries. I don't care where. Put up one here. Put up one here. Put up one here. 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 And if you want to, like, put one up here, like, I don't even care. Like, just get some hatcheries going, because like you're gonna just be able to spend that like crazy. And like right now, if you spent all this on Zerglings, like this Terran would be screwed. Like, think about it. He has a bunch of Banshees. Yeah, all those Zerglings would die eventually, but think about all the damage you could do. Like, kill off all these SVs. This orbital would be forced to lift. I mean, all these buildings would be under attack, and like it's just a good feeling to go in there and flood your opponent with Zerglings, like, and you got the money to do so. I'm just saying, you just gotta spend your larva, get up some extra hatcheries, perhaps. Yeah, he's getting up some extra hatcheries now, but I would like to see him a little bit sooner, is all. What the heck? Oh, yeah. I just talk about that early stuff a lot in my notes. Get dirt faster. Oh, his larva spew is pretty bad also. And it's been bad. It's not the end of the world. Just try to do it a little bit more often. Yeah, this is actually pretty high. I don't know. Sooner or later, if you play enough games, you'll just like have a timing for it. You'll just be like, okay, it's time to spew. Okay, it's time to spew. Okay, it's time to spew. Now, of course, not everybody has that And what Day 9 and a lot of high level players will suggest, and I actually will suggest this as well, is just check your hatcheries. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to check them right now. I mean, you kind of have to look at it. Like, just glance over at your base really fast. I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things. You could put queens on a whole bunch of hotkeys, and you can check to see if the queen has enough energy, or you could put your hatcheries on a bunch of hotkeys and then scroll through them. I personally like to have like one hotkey for hatcheries, one hotkey for queens. My mechanics are actually pretty bad, so that's not the way to actually do it. And you just want to be like hitting that hotkey once in a while and saying, okay, does my queen have enough energy to spew? Okay, I need to spew. Something like that. And then, yeah. So, anyways, Democry is going to be going for that Greater Spire. Where the heck is it? There it is. And on some Corruptors for all that good stuff. We're going to go through this a little bit faster now since we got through all the main stuff. I don't know, generally speaking, I don't really like to talk about the later stages of the game as much until you get really good at the earlier stages and really good macro and fundamentals and all that good stuff. Generally speaking, just because you won't have a good late game until that happens, you know. So I mean, you're not gonna have like a big confrontation after big confrontation after battle after battle after battle until both players are good at macro. So looks like Democry finding this with the Corruptor. Just for the record, mutas are really good against Terran air. I mean, just because, well, first of all, Corruptors deal extra damage versus massive. Banshees are not massive. Vikings are not massive. So I mean, they do take a little bit less damage. I mean, they take a little bit less damage from them. But at the same time, mutas are actually really good against Vikings. But to top it off, you do want that extra range from the Corruptor, so it does help out against Vikings. But I don't know, mutas are pretty awesome against this. So you can just keep harass with mutas and keep doing damage to his air, and you'll be pretty much screwed throughout the game. And, well, since you're going into Broodlords, it's totally whatever, and totally fun, and totally awesome, because Broodlords rock! And he's probably going to be going in there pretty soon to kill some stuff off. It looks like this hatchery was taken out with those Banshees. Not a big deal, it kind of happens. But yeah, if that does happen, just send your drones over here. Like, come on, man, they're just kind of remote mining, and it's kind of, I don't know, they don't need to. The only time you really want to remote mine is if you just don't have a base with minerals on it, or if you just have like a ton of dudes mining a base and like they're just really not doing anything, then you can like remote mine to like the closest possible mineral line and then do it that way. But anyways, there are a lot of Banshees out here. Zerg attacking this planetary fortress with the Broodlord and taking it out and just picking away Terran very slowly. Very good play here, just kind of picking away. I would say you do kind of want some reinforcements though. Your Broodlords by themselves, just Broodlords Corruptor, generally not what you want to be doing. You want to get like some Zerglings or Roaches or whatever you can. I mean, with this kind of money, I'd say definitely get a ton of Zerglings, get as many Zerglings as you can. And just keep them near the Broodlords. They don't need to really engage anything. But yeah, once the Marines sprint forward like this, you could just assault them with the Zerglings, and these Broodlords will not die. And then, yeah, you do want to get both Corruptors or Mutas or whatever to help clean this up as well. And yeah. So yep, Democry has a couple Corruptors back there defending that. Let's do some damage to this base. And let's go on times 4 speed. Kicking it into high gear. Alright, so a bunch of these Vikings. Yeah, Terran's pretty screwed at this point. There's really not much you can do. You're down like a whole bunch of bases. You don't have money. Now at this point, Zerg could just throw away army after army after army and you'd still be fine. So there's going to be a GG here in about 30 seconds. Actually a little bit sooner since it's on times 8 now. Gets kind of laggy on times 8 when I have like XSplit open, whatever. A little bit of swearing, but whatever, it's all good. Yeah, here comes a swarm of Zerglings, yeah. I would like to see that a lot sooner since you had the money for it, but whatever. Alright, overlay's going up, but it's going to come down in just a sec while I load up this next replay. No honey water tonight. I ran out of honey. Didn't have time to run to the grocery store, so I'm just drinking water. On my break today, I made like this egg sandwich. I didn't get to finish it, but it's whatever because I'm not that hungry. And now let's get into the next game here. Let's flip over my notes. Whatever. I did go over that kinda. It's all good. Alright. Next game is Nyarlathotep. Lethotep. I can't pronounce shit. I apologize. It's some kind of anime thing, I believe. But yeah, he's our submitter. And he is another Zerg player, so we're going to do some more Zerg. This one is against Protoss. So we do have Thunder Pussy spawned at the bottom, 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I guess. I don't know. Apparently it's 12 o'clock somewhere. But he is our Protoss player. It is close air positions on Metalopolis and all that good stuff. And I don't actually have a lot of notes here, but that's alright, because we're pretty much just going to be talking about a transition out of a Roach Rush. So this one is really kind of focused. It's not really so much like going into detail about like the big game, about macro, about anything like that. I'm just gonna go into transitions. It's something that's kind of hard as Zerg. Like you build on units to attack, and then you just lose because that attack didn't happen or it didn't work out as you planned, and then you just don't have enough drones, and you just lose later on. So that's kind of a general thing that happens as Zerg, and you got to know how to do it. So now we do have this guy Nyarlathotep or whatever. He does have some good timings on this pool, on the Roach Warren and all that. It is on ×2 right now if you haven't noticed, so everything is kind of super fast. So I'm trying to time it, with what's going on, But he does have an Overlord out here. That's very crucial in this attack. You want an Overlord here, so you can check the high ground here and kill off whatever units are shooting at you, You kind of need it. Alright, so let's see, what is Protoss doing? He's adding on another gateway, Cybernetics. Looks like he opened with a 2 gates, which is really annoying. I hate 2 gate. I really do. I hate 2 gate pressure. I don't mean like 2 gate all in. I mean like players will get a bunch of Zealots, send them to attack you, and then like, oh, you have some Zerglings, I'm just gonna run away. And then he'll have those units for later, and then he'll just attack you with like a 4 gate, and you'll be like screwed because you just spent drones on spine crawlers or on Zerglings or whatever, and your hatch rate will be delayed or not up or something. Alright, so here is the main thing about this. If you're going for a Roach push or any push at all, actually, what you kind of have to decide is, am I going to go all in or am I going to pressure? And you need to decide that like right now, like before you even actually get there, as soon as possible, pretty much. Because right now, I'm going to pause for a sec. You want to say, okay, if I'm going all in, I need to add on some more Zerglings, more Roaches, more Zerglings, more Roaches, whatever you want. So, whatever you think you need to actually bust in here and kill off a lot of stuff. And that's a good all-in play. That's what you want to be doing as Zerg if you're going for all in. As you can see, Protoss does have some cannons going up, which is good. That's going to help him out. You need to decide that before you start making the second round of units. Right now he's adding on Zerglings, that's fine. But yeah, if you're going for pressure, you don't want to get too many units. You want to get as few units and try to use them as much as possible. Try to kill as much as possible with them. Now, since Protoss did add on these cannons, it is going to be tricky to get in there, so he is adding on a lot of guys, which is totally fine. He's getting up some Zerglings, some Roaches, and all that. I wouldn't mind to see like if he was able to get up a +1 attack with his, or +1 or plus speed with his Zerglings, that would have helped out a lot. He does have the 100 gas for it right now. His Roaches were sitting up here a little bit. He could just rearrange stuff, get the speed, and then get a bunch of Roaches, and just be able to do the same attack at the same time with just Zergling speed. So I mean that would help out quite a bit. So right now he actually just added on, let's see, okay, just Zerglings for now. He will be adding on some more Roaches in just a minute. And right now his money is pretty high. And pretty much if you're doing this attack, you want to be spending your money on drones or on the all-in, which would be adding on more Roaches, adding on some Zerglings, and just running in there trying to do as much damage as possible. And he's actually doing a good job right now. He's taking out some cannons. The Roaches did quite a bit of damage, but not like he did damage to the defense. He didn't do damage economically. He didn't do damage to any of the production buildings. So right now, alright, so he decided to build some more Roaches, which is fine if he's going for all in. But since he's retreating right now, he just will not have the economy he needs for later on. I mean, he has 18 drones to 18 probes, which is fine. But at the same time, Protoss used the time to power, got up some gateways, whereas you haven't been powering at all. You don't have another hatchery. What I mean by powering is just getting up production buildings. And, I mean, that's just like one way to spend your money. And as Zerg, that means hatcheries. Since you don't have a natural hatchery, and you're just going to place one right now, you didn't power at all, you're not going to be able to keep up your production, you're not going to keep up with your drones. And so Protoss, since he has the same probe count and more production buildings, or, well, I wouldn't really say more at this point, but I mean, since he has Warp Gate tech, that's kind of like a tech bonus that's going to help him out a lot in the long run. So I mean, you could just keep adding on units, whereas as Zerg, you can't really just add on units and probes, and drones. So you kind of need to decide drones or probes. I mean, drones or units. I don't know why I keep mixing up drones and probes, but you know what I mean. So he does have a lot of roaches here, and actually, in this particular circumstance, I would not mind to see these roaches go in there and continue the attack, because Protoss here does not have a lot of units. He does have these 4 cannons, he does have these sentries, which can block this ramp for a little bit of time, but with some good micro and whatnot, you can actually still bust in there, so I would like to see that. If you're going to be adding on that many roaches, So I mean, all these units are going to be useless for the next, like, 3-4 minutes at least, maybe even longer, so you got to be really careful with how many units you actually have, because these could have been all drones. And if you think about it, the gas and stuff, because you only get 4 gas instead of 5 when you do have a gas, so I mean, it does push you back even further. It's not a big pushback, but it does push you back a little bit. So, you'd be able to get up this hatchery faster. And actually, when you do a pressurized Zerg, or as any race, those initial roaches, which were the pressure, not the additional roaches, but the initial roaches, he should have added on a hatchery with that extra money and just gotten up some extra drones. If he was pressuring, then again, if he was going for all-in, just add on a bunch of roaches. And then if you have 300 minerals and you're spending all of your larvae consistently, then add on a hatchery. And then you can just get up more stuff, type of thing. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Let me just look at this a little bit more. Yeah, so we're just going to run through this replay on ×8, just so you guys can see at the conclusion. Here's Void Ray, it's going to be popping in here, and that's Spell's good game for Zerg. The other thing is, actually I do want to say this in this game, it does come up later on in another game, but I see a lot of players kind of just gun for the lair. Like, oh, I have enough gas for a lair, I should get a lair. I wouldn't get it that soon. I mean, I know I like to delay it, but I mean, I would say, even if you weren't delaying it as much as I do, you should delay it a little bit more, because that'll just help you get up this hatchery sooner, help you get up a third. And actually, since you have a ton of money, you could have done that while getting a lair. So I mean, that would have been really nice just to get it up a little bit sooner. So I mean, with that higher tech, you need gas. You can't get gas without more bases, right? Because I mean, you're gonna be, if you have X drones and you have only 4 gas, you're gonna have a ton of minerals and not that much gas. Whereas if you take a third, you can spread out some of those, some of those drones from the minerals onto these minerals, increase your income that way, and then get these 2 gas if you want to like go really, really heavy on these higher tech units like the Mutalisk. If you want to get like a ton of mutas, just get this hatchery a little bit sooner and get this gas going, and you can have even more mutas and spend more of your minerals type of thing. So there is that, and that comes up a lot in like a bunch of replays. So actually, I think one of these days, probably next week Sunday, I'm going to do a little bit more of, I'm going to show maybe a game of myself playing, where I just go over that kind of thing, like when to throw up hatcheries, when to, just like the macro, like at the 10-minute mark or like the 8-minute mark. Well, I guess it's like between the 7 and like the 10-minute mark, depending on how many drones you have and at what time. But I mean, when to get hatcheries, when to get stuff, and all that good stuff. When you have to worry about attacks. So yeah, right now Parse is coming out, and this is a huge force at this time. He's 1 base all inning. So Zerg, since he has 3 bases and did that early attack, yeah, this is not going to be very awesome. But actually, he's doing alright. Protoss again has a ton of money saved up, so this actually should have been death for him, but he actually did alright, so, it happens sometimes. And there's the GG, and, well, very well played for Nyarlathotep. Alright, so I'm going to take a couple of questions on these first 2 games before I jump into the third one. If you guys have any questions, you can submit them right now. Actually, give me a sec. I need to log into Twitch here. Pull my chat out so I can close this window. What? How do I pull out this chat? Let me do it. Oh, there we go. Alright, now I can close Internet Explorer. Alright, cool. Yes, Kendall, you are going to be casted a little bit later on tonight. We go after the next one. But if you guys have any questions at all on like these first two games before I jump into the third, just I don't know. I wouldn't mind getting a couple of questions in between, every so many games, so I can just rest my voice a little bit. What league has these games been? They've been gold. These have been gold games. Yeah. Gold games. And I mean, at gold, silver, and bronze, like everyone plays so differently than one another. They really do. So I mean, it's not like I wouldn't say that like, oh, this player is playing bad for that league because they only have this or because they did all this. It's more or less like maybe this player is really good at like macro and like tried something that didn't work out, and they're asking questions about it, type of thing. Like they just try something new and it doesn't work out, no biggie. Or something happens and really throws them off, and like that's not what usually happens, and it just looks like their game is shit because like that happened. Like for me, for example, like I'll overdrone. Like that's my biggest thing. I'll overdrone, and then I'll get attacked by like some Marines and some Hellions and some Marauders, and I'll just lose. And people will be like, "Wow, you suck. You suck bad." And it's like, well, I just I forgot one thing. I forgot to put my Zergling at the Watchtower, and I just lost. It's kind of just like one of those things where. I wouldn't say it's strictly like, oh, you're in this league, you should be this good every time, type of thing. So, anyways, without any more questions, I'm going to jump into this next third game. Man, where do you guys come up with these names? These are like hard to pronounce and everything. So, let's see. Zakiyato. Sounds kind of Japanese if you say it like that. I don't know if that's how you actually pronounce it or what, but anyways, he's our Zerg player. We're doing some more Zerg analysis right now. He's spawned at the bottom right-hand position as our red player, and it is another Zerg against Protoss. We do have Wesley Pipes spawned over here at the left, bottom-hand, left-hand position, and he's our blue Protoss player. So give it up for these guys. All right, so let's see. This guy didn't have anything specific to go over. Excuse me. Let's see. All right, so I'm just gonna go over some good stuff for Zerg. Put it on his view. We're not gonna be distracted by Protoss at all this game. We're just gonna check it out. Okay. So let's speed through this like very initial opening here, because you're building drones. There's really not much to talk about. So yeah. Alright, so this is one of the games where the player goes for a really fast layer. And I would just say you might want to delay it a little bit. Just like I said in the last game, it'll just help you get your economy rolling even faster. And then you can get units and tech at the same time and still be able to defend and attack at the same, like you can get a lot more up just by getting a faster economy. I personally like to say that the way the economy works in StarCraft 2, like it's exponential. Like you make $1, and you spend that dollar to make $2. You spend that $2 to make $4. It's kind of like that, like you just like, it grows that fast. I mean, it's not exactly like that, obviously you have to spend like you got to throw down $300 for a hatchery, it's not like, it's not like another drone, but that will help you grow even faster. So I mean, it's kind of, it's ridiculous. It's kind of hard to talk about, but I hope you guys understand that economy is just so exponential, because eventually you'll be at the point where you can add on more drones while you're building up units to attack or defend or get tech or whatever, and then you'll be able to do so much at once. I mean, that seems like, oh, I gotta worry about a lot of macro now, a lot of stuff going on, and it's kind of true, but at the same time, it's like it feels really good to just have a lot of money, a lot of hatcheries, and just be able to lay down a lot of pressure at any given time, you know. So, anyways, he has his gas now. He's getting his Zergling speed, or at least he will be in a second. One of the things is you want to take guys out of this gas. Like, I'm actually just gonna say that, like players will keep the guy in the gas, get the lair. That's fine. Do whatever you gotta do. Drone died there, no biggie. But if you're going for a fast +1 on top of this Zergling speed, then yeah, you can keep guys in the gas. That's fine. Just if you're getting gas, make sure you spend it on something. You don't want to just be saving up gas off just one extractor, because those are 3 drones that could be on minerals. That's actually a lot of income that you could have had, that, you know, for minerals that you don't have anymore, because you're saving up gas for later on. Whereas you can actually just put them back on minerals, and then when you want to get a layer, take another gas, put 3 in the gas that you already have, and just add 3 to this one, and then you'll be golden. You'll have like a ton of drones, and you'll have the same amount of gas. So I mean, it's just like a little rearrangement, so I get more drones out and have the same amount of stuff, type of thing. But yeah, let's see. So he has the expansion going. That's all good. Alright, so he doesn't know what's going on in the Protoss base. That just kind of happens, but I do want to make notes before this attack actually happens. If you see 2 gases pretty early on, and I mean before an expansion, I mean, it could mean that it's going to be a 3-gate expand, or it's going to be a tech play. So you want to get a Zergling out here to check this expansion once in a while, and well, let's see what he has. No, obviously he's going for a Stargate, but if he, well, I don't know, at a certain amount of time, I forget when the timing is for a 3-gate expand, but usually around like 5 minutes, maybe, well, yeah, like 5 minutes, I'd say. If you want to check for this expansion, maybe around 6 minutes, check for this expansion. If there's a pylon out here, or there's units out here, he's going to be expanding. Even if you don't see the Nexus, if you see a building down here, he's expanding. Now, of course, he may not expand. That's like kind of like you can fool your opponent to make him think you're going to be expanding. It's kind of like saying, okay, I'm going to put a pylon down here, make you think I'm expanding, and just throw up 2 gateways, or a gateway and a forge, and like do a cannon rush, you know, and never put down the Nexus. You know, that's kind of like, you know, you got to just, I don't know, he's got to be careful with that. You want to have Zerglings running around, checking for things, checking for pylons, all the good stuff. But yeah, there's going to be a tech play coming online with that Void Ray coming out, and we'll see this early pressure with these Zealots. And you know, I'm not sure if you saw that coming, but if you did see it coming, you got to add on some defense. It's not a bad idea just to have a Spine Crawler at your natural, just because. Like, I'll never say that's bad in any matchup at all. Just have one, you know, whatever. Or you can add on some Zerglings. Of course, you can just keep a Zergling at the front and say, okay, he has some Zealots coming. All right, I need to build some Zerglings, and that'll be fine. But yeah, he's going to be cleaning this up now. A little bit of delayed time with these drones. And this is actually pretty much an even trade. It doesn't, like, it looks like, oh, you know, Protoss lost more. You know, that's actually probably true, but, you know, the drones were pulled off the line from mining, so it did cost them some minerals, so I'd say about even. You know, and actually a lot of these trades end up being even when you lose your units. So if you're Protoss in this position, I'd say try to back them off as much as possible. Obviously, Zerglings are a lot faster. You're probably going to lose a couple guys, but if you can, retreat. And obviously, if Zerglings are killing you while you're running away, then just attack, and you're just going to have to lose your guys. One of those things. But anyways, the Void Ray is out now, pressuring that extractor. And basically, you just want an extra queen out. This is pretty much a bad time to be in the middle of getting a lair, because you can't get another queen out of this hatchery. So this is kind of like a rough time. So I would say just don't get your lair at like 7 minutes. You want to get it, I guess if you really want to get super fast, you can. I'd say delay it though. Delay it, get up another, well, maybe you like just build a queen and then a lair. So, or something like that, you know, then you can just be pretty cool with that. At the same time, you could also go down the route of just having an evolution chamber. That can help out quite a lot. I mean, I personally like to put one here, and then like a couple of spines here, just to help wall this off, so there's like hardly any traffic going through for Protoss. And then if I see a Void Ray, you know, like I send an Overlord in around like 7 minutes to see if there's a Stargate, something like that. That's perfectly fine. Just get an Overlord out here. You know, this one's kind of just chilling at the top here, get him over here, and then like, you know, oh, it's 7 minutes. All right, I'll just send him in, check things out, and you can spot that Stargate and all that good stuff. So, in that way, you can be prepared. Throw up like 1 or 2 spores. You don't want to overcommit, obviously, and then do whatever you gotta do from there. But yeah, losing this hatchery, or losing this layer even, is pretty sucky, because you weren't prepared. So yeah, scouting, very important. You want to be going through all that good stuff. So yeah, I'll just say, go for eco first. Don't try to gun for tech. I mean, now you have your Hydras out, and that's fine. But if you think about it, Protoss has that expansion that he was able to get with those Void Rays. And yeah, you can go out there and do some pressure. You don't really have a ton of units. This is like a danger zone for Zerg. You want to have, like for most races, especially for Terran, for example, you can tech up, like get a couple of factories, get some tanks out off one base, and then attack and expand behind it. And that's a good play, because you're getting stronger units with your tech, and then making a good timing push with it, and of course expanding behind it is always going to be good. Now with Zerg, let's stay with Terran for a moment. We have Marines and Marauders at the same time, which is low tech, and that's pretty much like your Zergling and Baneling. Your lower tech, like less costly unit, you need like a lot of production buildings to build it, type of thing. So you can actually expand a lot more, get up a lot of guys, and just make random attacks at random times, and just keep the pressure up. I mean, that's kind of what Zerglings are for. Hydras are kind of like more like the tank. They're more like the stronger unit. They require more tech. They take longer to get, type of thing. Hydras are, of course, very different, because you definitely need like Zerglings or Roaches to help them out, because they have very little hit points for their cost. But it's kind of like the tank at that regard too. Tanks don't really have that much hit points. I mean, you get a bunch of Marines and stuff with them to help guard them, and that's going to be a very good play as well. So I mean, I'll just say that here's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, if you're on, you're going to be expanding a lot less with higher tech than you would with lower tech. With lower tech, you can get up a lot more units and lay down a lot of pressure. With higher tech, you want to do bigger, slower pushes. So right now, Zerg is kind of at a reverse role than Protoss. I mean, Protoss also has tech right now. So I mean, that's actually really kind of hard for Zerg, because Protoss is pretty much like, the gateways are all, the gateway units are actually really strong already. So it's kind of like they're automatically like the mech race, like they're already like the strong race. So I mean, you got to be really careful with this when you're assaulting them with your own big ball, because that's not going to work out, especially when you have mostly lower tech guys. So I mean, this is not going to be a very good push. And yeah, once you see a bigger, stronger force like this, you do not want to engage it. You want to run away, assuming that you have only one hatchery. Like if you, okay, but let me put it this way: if you have less bases than your opponent, then you want to try to get away with a lot and try not to lose any units ever. Like these Hydras are now going to be retreating and dying pretty much. Speed this up, it was on normal. But yeah, like as Protoss especially, like if you have, or not, I guess not especially, but as Protoss, since all their units are the stronger units, you want to be attacking, but then pulling back, making sure you don't lose a ton of guys, and just adding to that ball and just making a bigger and bigger and bigger ball. Just like the Hydralisks, you want to have a bigger and bigger and bigger ball. So I'm glad he retreated with the ones he had. The Zerglings retreated as well. That's good. I mean, that's, since he's lower on bases, that's going to be good. Sorry, I kind of got really... I'm trying to explain this. I'm not really that great at explaining this concept for whatever reason. But I'll be talking about it a little bit more later on. But yeah, right now Protoss has a better economy. He has like double the workers. And he has more tech. He has his Stargates. And he has a robotics facility. And all these gateways. Well, of course the gateways aren't really tech, but yeah. So yeah, right now Zerg's on like one production building. Has some higher end tech units, but can't afford a lot. So I do like the fact that he went in there to try to do some damage. Just try to pull back and get a base while you're doing it, and then maybe take even another base if you can. Now here comes the big ball of Protoss. Gonna be coming in there and cleaning the place up. This is, yeah, I was gonna say, if you engage in there, that's not good. Protoss likes cramped areas. Zerg likes big open areas. Never engage a Protoss on a ramp. That's like a big rule for Protoss if you're Zerg. And as Protoss, of course, you want to stay by the ramps and the small chokes. There's good cuts. Zerg needs, of course, just running around it, but as Protoss, also with your force fields, I would say that generally speaking, in this kind of predicament, you want to be cutting the opponent army in half. Like, you saw this big army come in a big ball, right? This like big, well, let's go down here. A big ball like this, right? So you put your force field like here, cut half that off, and even like try to make a cup shape, like one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and one there, so that it's harder for Zerg to run out. Then you just kill like half of it, and then kill the other half later on. The only time you want to wall off like that, so like just completely cut off Zerg or Terran or whatever, is when you really do not want to engage that army, and you want to like get out of there or find a better spot to engage in or something like that. But yeah, just you really want to like look at your force fields and try to like, I don't know, it's kind of hard in the moment. It's kind of like, okay, I need to throw down some force fields right now, that's kind of what happens. But just try to be a little bit more patient with it and just get some good force fields down. But yeah, now Zerg, of course, still on very few drones because he hasn't built another hatchery. He can't really afford more drones. But yeah, you need to kind of get another hatchery at some points because it's kind of like at the point of no return. Like you're like, you don't have that many bases. You're really far behind. You all in, it doesn't work, and then you're just screwed. So Protoss, just took a time to kill him off, but it happens. And Zachi Yado, that's right, losing the game. Yeah, I pretty much went over everything. Alright, so I'm going to go one more game before I do some more questions, and then the last three. Let's see, what is our next game? Let's see. Oh, there it is. Alright. So that one was another gold replay, I believe. The next one we're doing is a diamond level replay, apparently. And actually, no, the last one was platinum. Sorry, I was reading the wrong one. But yeah, this next one is diamond, so we're just kind of moving up right now. We're going to be going back to gold, so don't worry. We're going to be hitting that stuff up. And well, let's get into this game right now. Got to remember to remove the overlay. Don't want to have another disaster. Let's remove it right now, so don't forget. All right, so we have Tavo. PC Tavo spawned as our person that has submitted to us. He plays another Zerg. It is a Zerg against Terran. Decided to just do a lot of Zerg against whatever early on, and then switch over to more Terran and Protoss type stuff. And I realize that I'm a Zerg player, so I probably give the best advice for Zerg, but I can give advice for other races, just so you guys know. If you have some Terran or Protoss friends, I can help them out as well. So, his opponent today, Mr. Monkey, spawned as our blue dude at the bottom left. And, well, looks like what is Monkey gonna do? He's gonna be throwing down a supply depot. How original, how awesome is that supply depot? Of course, you do need a supply depot before you make a barracks. That's totally different than StarCraft 1. StarCraft 1, you could just put down a barracks, but in 2v2 there was a problem, so Blizzard was like, well, okay, well, let's make it require a supply depot. In 2v2 it's pretty much like, okay, a player could like put down an 8 racks and then like a 12 racks or something like that, and then like if 2 players do it, then yeah, that's a lot of Marines that are like in your base already, and you're just like screwed. So it's just a lot of hurt that you go through. Alright, so let's see, what are we going through this time? Alright, so just some general stuff. We'll go into the Zerg point of view once again. Looks like a normal 14 hatch. Waiting for a little bit of money. There we go. Of course you want to time that out so your drone gets there like exactly when you get enough. Generally speaking, that's like at 200 minerals, then you send your drone out, and then you can just place down the hatchery right when it comes out. If you do it seconds before that, seconds after, whatever. And of course you want to try to do that as bestly timed as possible, and that's just going to help you play better. But yeah, there's that pool going down. I believe it was a 16 pool. and all that good stuff. We are on ×2 speed, so everything is super fast. Don't freak out. It's normal. It's normal. Alright, so actually this is the play that I like to do. I like to get that 14 hatch and then like 16 pool, and then, well, actually it looks like the pool is on possibly 17. It's a little bit late, but yeah, usually you can afford 2 queens right here. You can get 2 queens, one from this hatchery, one from this hatchery. Or wait, is it getting 2 queens? Oh, okay, 2 queens are a little bit delayed. Okay, I'll just say that, I just want to make note of, I guess I should say, that you don't actually need these spine crawlers this early. Just get your queens out, get a couple of drones, then put down a couple of spines when you can afford it. Just because those Hellions are not going to get there right now. This factory isn't even finished yet, so I mean, don't worry about them quite yet. I'll just make a little switch there. Not so much that like, oh, it's just terrible to do this. It's just like a little bit of a rearrangement like that will just help you get up some extra drones during this time. And I mean, that's just going to boost your play a bit. I mean, you want to be looking for little tweaks like that, like little things you can make or delay a little bit and just get up a better economy or get up some tech during all that. And that's just going to help smooth out your play. And I mean, that's what, I mean, even in Masters, like that's, well, I guess, okay, Masters players do that well, but like at the pro level, it's ridiculous how good they are at this. Like that's what makes Idra Idra. He just makes these little tweaks like that to get up some extra drones. And of course he also defends like whatever with like ridiculously small amounts of everything. But you know, he's just able to get up some extra drones with a little bit of rearrangement, which just allows him to have this explosion of economy to get up a ton of mutas at like 8 minutes and just like kill his opponent, you know, like so. Just you want to be looking for it is all I'm going for here. But yeah, the factory is just finishing now. And yeah, now he's got to switch it out and then build some Hellions, and it looks like Terran's saving up a little bit of gas, not a big deal. You can just pull guys. You can pull guys out of gas for Terran if you want. Get up this expansion slightly sooner, depending on what you're getting with this barracks. I mean, if you're getting a tech lab, obviously you need gas for a tech lab. If you're heading out another factory, you need some gas for a factory or a starport, whatever it is. You need gas. So, you know, just if you have a little, you know, if you have 200 gas and no minerals, then you might want to think about taking guys out of gas or something like that. Just a little bit of a rearrangement there to help you out. And this is actually what I like to see. This is what I play pretty much. I like to get an evolution chamber here, and then some spines here. Personally, I like to get the evolution chamber here, and then a spore crawler there, and then like another like a roach warren here or something like that, and then like a spine there, and then you're just completely safe from Hellions. And that's just kind of how I play. Like I delay the gas a ton in this matchup. Sometimes I don't always play like that, but you know, it's kind of, you know, it's like Spinichiwa's style of Zerg, just getting up a bunch of hatcheries, delaying gas like crazy, and then it's getting up what you need at the right time. So it's kind of, I see that, I think that's what Tavo is going for. It's getting up some spines for defense, getting up that super late gas, and it's getting 2 of them. 2 of them, of course, allowing you to get that speed, and then a +1 and a lair, or whatever, you know, whatever order you want of that. And well, Terran is here with the Hellions. He's actually playing pretty well because he's going to keep these Hellions back. He sees those spines saying, okay, I'm not going to attack in there. I'm not dumb. I'm not going to suicide all my Hellions and just lose the game because of it. I'm just going to contain them. So I like this play a lot from Terran. He plays this very well. As Zerg, I would say you definitely want to, I don't know, you want to scout or something, see what he's actually going to be getting. If he's getting Marines and tanks, like he is, then you're going to have to deal with these Hellions. Because if you don't deal with them, then those Marines and tanks will join up with them and siege up, and you'll be like screwed because it's really hard to get down this freaking ramp. Like once tanks hit this spot and you don't have creep down here, and he's sprint creep, so I mean that'll help him out quite a bit. But if you didn't have creep down here, that'd be the end of the world. So you'd just be like moving your slow dudes down here to kill the tanks, and they'd all die before they even get there. So it's good to see that creep up there. But yeah, we will actually see a contain like that with these tanks. Of course, Monkey being very smart, getting up that command center after that factory just to lay down some good stuff. But he is going to be getting a lot of gas here, so I do want to mention that. Want to be careful with all that. And actually right now is the perfect opportunity to go down here. As you see, these Hellions do not have the blue flame. That's actually key here, because Zerglings are actually not that bad against Hellions, assuming that you do it right. And actually, yeah, just a couple of Zerglings were roasted there, like 3. He lost a Hellion. These Hellions are actually half dead now, so I mean, it's a good time to just bust in there. And since you have a lot of minerals, you could just take a third, you know, take a third or macro hatch something, because you're going to be able to spend all your larva and have some extra money. Of course, the key as Zerg is to spend everything. You know, as Terran and Protoss, it's kind of like, okay, spend your minerals, spend your gas, get up some supplies for this. As Zerg, you have that larva to deal with. You got to worry about that. You got to like time it out just right to have enough hatcheries, enough drones and stuff to be getting minerals. And it's kind of difficult. You know, it takes some practice. It definitely does. But eventually you will get it. You just got to take some time. But anyways, Tavo getting up a bunch of spines. A very good wall here, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, Terran's got tanks, and it's not going to really matter anymore. So you got to be really careful how you do it. And yeah, he's got to keep scanning because he doesn't have any air units to scout it, or to see above there, which is alright. Do what you got to do. But yeah, that plus armor just finished. Zerg. Well, if you're going to like, if you're defending and you have enough units, you can just wait back and wait for that plus upgrade and then attack in there. Of course, you don't want to just keep running your units in here to kill this off. You want to wait till you have enough to deal with it and then kill it off. Hopefully before you lose too much stuff. I mean, this evolution chamber, it's not a big deal, you know, it's like 75 minerals for that evolution chamber and then the 50 for the drone, of course, but again, it's not really a big deal. There's a fun growth going down. There are some infestors at the top here just being pesky. This tank, in range, just not scanning. If you had a medevac or a Viking or something, this would be hell. This would be really hard to deal with because there's infestors not really good to deal with, I think. But Tavo doing a very good job killing off those Marines and then sending the Zerglings in there. Being extremely patient. That's how you want to do it. Now, of course, if this hatchery was taking heavy damage, yeah, you want to just get over there and kill the fuck out of all these guys. Like, you want to kill them. You know, assuming that you can with enough units. But I mean, if you're just losing like a spine and an evolution chamber, yeah, you can be patient. Throw down some fungal. Throw down some infested Terrans. Make the tanks siege up, or I mean, attack the other units, and that's gonna be really good. So there is all that. Now, of course, Terran retreating with what he has. A very good play there. This is pretty typical of Diamond. If you're Platinum and you're trying to get into Diamond, you might start seeing this kind of play. You know, if you're Zerg, you know, if you're 10, you might want to start doing this kind of play, just like making sure you retreat when you know you're not going to win a battle. That's something that Master level players and even sometimes GM level players do not do. Just if you're losing a battle, just run away because you're going to be able to add those guys to your big force and they'll be like 10 times stronger. So there is all that. Now Terran, he did kind of screw up his macro. I just want to make note of this. Now he does have more SCVs than Zerg has drones. But to be perfectly honest, like he could have had a bunch more SVs even, and he should actually be transferring more guys to this natural. And he could even be adding on third right now if, well, he could right now, but I mean, he would have extra money if he just transferred more guys over here and all that good stuff. And there's just too many down here. Now, other players will actually, no, I don't want to pause. Will actually keep a lot of SVs up here, or I mean, what was I saying? Oh, I've seen in a couple replays now that players will keep a lot of SVs at their main and not that many at their natural. Or something like that. Or not enough at their main and just start building up a big supply of SVs at the natural. The idea is you want like a perfect half and half. The idea being, like if you have 20 drones here at your main, for example, and you have like 50 at your natural, then your natural is being like oversaturated. Like there are some SVs not actually doing anything, whereas if you put them at the main, they will be, or at least more of them will be. I mean, it's not like, okay, yeah, at, was it 16, like 2 per mineral? Yes, you're getting like the most you can out of those minerals. I mean, the most, you know, that's like the most economical. That's like what you want to do as Zerg, kind of. But if you have some extra ones there, it's not going to hurt you. So by all means, do not keep like 50 at your natural and like, what was it, 16 at your main, because split them up as much as you can. And so, you know, if you have 2 bases, split them up into 2. 3 bases, split them up into 3. Now, of course, if a couple minerals are missing, like this one's missing, and you know whatnot, then you can just, you know, do a little bit less than half and half. Or if they're getting low, you can do, you know, switch it out like that. So there is all that to think about. All right. Alright, so we have a bunch of Zerglings here running across the field. We do have Terran pushing out with a bunch of Marines and some tanks. And he's just going to be sieging up here in the middle, which is fine. You know, you don't want to run right up to the creep and be like, oh, I'm going to siege here, and then just lose everything, because that is how you lose everything. But I would say this is a little bit too far back to start this kind of slow push. You want to start it like here. I mean, if the creep is all the way back here, you can actually just start it here. You just got to be really careful. Like maybe send a couple of scouting marines in the front while you're pushing up, and then like if those marines see units and siege up, yeah. But starting back there is a little bit too far, especially since there is this tall grass here. Well, for the record, he doesn't have much vision out here. This tank is not being used as much as he could be. So I mean, that's just kind of like cutting down how useful that tank actually is. So I would just put it like right there instead. But yeah, whatever. So Tavo has a lot of infestors, which is totally cool. Infestors are awesome, right? You fucking growth the shit out of the place, and then they can't move, and you just kill them. So yeah, it's awesome. But you do got to be careful. You do want a bunch of Zerglings. He does have a bunch of Zerglings, so that is good. There's a drop. Zergling's going to be cleaning that up. And, well, Monkey doing the smart thing and loading them back up and retreating. And yeah, this push, if it was done, if it was up here at the same time of that drop, he could be like advancing up here even. Like, on this creep, killing off these creep tumors. Zerg would feel much more pressured. You would not be able to just keep his units out in the front here. And it'll just suck more. So I'll just say time the drops with your front attack. You can do this as any race. As Zerg, I love doing it as Zerg. You know, you like drop or do Nidus or use Mutas at like, say, like the main over here. So like your opponent moves like a big chunk of forces up here to defend that. And you just like run in here like with some Zerglings, do a whole bunch of damage. Or run into a third, do some damage and all that good stuff. I mean, there's a lot you can actually do. As Terran, of course, you can drop like up here. And then drop back here. And then just attack the main with your main force, you know, like or advance forward faster than you normally would be able to. That's what the drops are doing for you. They're allowing you to, or you're forcing him to move his army, so you can advance your army further, or you can do more counterattack and all that good stuff. But anyway, Zerg does have a lot of Broodlords, a bunch of Infestors. You got to be really careful. And Tavo actually plays this out really well. High-level players will generally even run in there and try to do as much damage as possible, but that's pretty much when you have a composition of a lot of Zerglings, Banlings, and Mutas or Corruptors or Infestors or whatever. He does have his Marine or Zerglings back here. I would just keep him up here, just in case there's like a big bunch of Marines coming gunning for these Broodlords, or like a tank sieges up down here and you're just not ready for it. I do like the tank up here from Monkey. Monkey's doing a good job of that. And look at that, Tavo being so patient with his units. This is excellent. I do like this a lot. You know, just keeping some Zerglings around, but not like actually using them. Just using the fungal growth and the Broodlords to kind of zone it. Now, Terran didn't really have a ton of guys. If Terran had more guys, that would have been, you know, you can expect your opponent to have more guys than that at that kind of timing push. But his opponent Monkey not spending his money all that well, so he didn't. And yeah, so now Tavo checking a place out, checking to see what kind of expansions there are. And a very good, nice timing on Broodlords. You know, 20 minutes in, good time for Broodlords. I mean, that's when you should have them already. Personally, I'm trying to get Hive Tech up even faster than I have been, just because Tech is usually my downfall. So, overall, very well executed maneuvers for his units. All that good stuff. At the same time, I'd say, okay, well, I'm going to rewind for a sec because I missed this. The game's pretty much over. It was like 1 second before GG, but, okay, or no, I'll go a little bit sooner than that. See if I can find the timing for this. I should have written down the time, but whatever. Oh, a little bit sooner than that, okay. Okay, yeah, okay, so right now he's getting a lair. He's on 2 bases, doesn't have like any gas at all. And if you think about it, well, he's getting a third up, so that's really good. The thing is, with Hive Tech, or with like, if you're going like battle cruise, it would be like the equivalent of going battle cruises or High Templar. Like, you can't afford a lot off 2 bases because you don't have that much gas. So I'll just say you might want to delay this a little bit. This Hive. I mean, it's good to get it at 14 minutes, but at what time did he actually get the Broodlords? Like, we'll we'll unpause this and fast, or put it on fast, so we can see when he actually gets these Broodlords out. Alright, so the Spire is just about done. Hive is just about done as well. Infestors are coming out. And, I mean, he's spending a lot of gas on Infestors too, so I mean, that's fine. But, okay, Hive's done now. Okay, he's getting the Greater Spire. But, I mean, he can't really afford a lot of Broodlords. So, I mean, now he's getting his gas over here. That's good, you know. But I'd just say maybe you want to delay just a tad, get these gas rolling, and then you can just get up a ton of guys. I don't know, maybe it is better that way. I don't know. Personally, I feel like I need to play it out like this to really see the timings for it. So, I mean, I might be a little bit off. But, yeah. Expansions and droners and all that good stuff gonna help you out. Gets a lot of like if you got the expansions up a little bit sooner, you get more gas a lot sooner, which means like 3 times as many Broodlords at that time is what I'm getting at. So I don't know. Maybe you did have enough gas for it. Maybe not. Well, I mean, it's kind of like you have a ton of minerals too that could have been expansions, which would have done what I said. So you know, whatever. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this replay. I'll let you guys watch like the last 20 seconds or whatever is left. Yeah, it's like not even 20 seconds. Alright, so Zerg's over here, busting the place up. Dude, it's pretty clear that Terran is lost. And yeah, there we are. Alright, so there is all that. If you guys have any questions, now is the time to ask them. You know, questions about these 2 games. Pretty much, I'm just going to break it up into these sets of like 2. King, let me think. Are you being casted tonight, King? Oh, did you receive if you received an email from me, then you are being casted tonight. Otherwise, probably next week. Yeah, I'm pretty sure yours is like next week or maybe the week after. I'm not sure, but yeah, this one was a diamond player. Any questions? Anybody? No questions? Alright, whatever. But yeah, while you're watching these, if you guys have any questions about the play, you know, like, oh, what if this happened? You know, like, what should I have done, or what should have gone differently, or would have gone differently for Zerg or Terran or whatever, you know? Just some whatever questions. So I'll answer them up as best I can. Oh, here's a question. Okay, he's asking, is going Ghost viable against Infestors at this level, or is the micro too difficult? For Diamond level, I would say that it's, I'd say it's fine. I mean, if you're using EMP, it's just, EMP is some Infestors. I mean, it's kind of difficult with the Broodlords, but if you have Cloak, then of course he needs an Overseer, and you can just snipe the Overseer with the Ghost, or with the Marines, or whatever. So, I mean, there is that too. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that at Diamond you need to have this kind of micro, like, this is the kind of, like, you need to be this good with your units at Diamond. It's more like different players are good at different things. So, I mean, even Master level players are bad at certain things. So, I would not say that you cannot go Ghost at Diamond. You know, it's really just more or less how you are, personally, you know. And what time would the Ghost be? It really depends on what happens. I mean, I don't like to judge things at the clock. There's certain things that you should, like at 7 minutes, you want, like, in any matchup is a good time to send Overlord to scout. You know? As Terran for the Ghost, I'll just say, like when you get a third going, you can get a Ghost. I don't know, you can scan, you can do a pressure attack to scout to see what Zerg has. There's a lot of things Terran can actually do to scout, so I mean, there is that. And then you just get it whenever you feel like it's good to have. I mean, I'd say at like the 16, 17 minute mark, actually probably like the 17, 18 minute mark is when you want to have them against Broodlords. Against Infestors, you might want to have them at like 13, 14, 15-ish. It really depends on when your opponent gets them. I mean, you don't want to have them too early or too late, anything like that. So there's quite a lot to consider there. Alright, so let's jump into the next game here. Let's see, what is on the agenda? Terran against Zerg. Candles, you are up. You are number 5. Okay, let's find your replay. Numero I don't know. I'm not a Spanish speaker if you can't tell. So, here we go. There we go. Alright, cool. Alright, number 5 tonight. I think it's number 5 anyway. Anyways, let's remove the overlay. I'm not going to forget about that. That would just suck. So we have our Zerg player, which is Woodzek guy. Was Woodsy Vayak? I don't know. Whatever. He's not even our submitter. Our submitter today, or this game, is Candles. He's playing our Terran, so we're going to look at it from the Terran perspective here. So let's go through this a little bit faster in this early stage of the game. Whoops. We'll go to your view and all that good stuff, so we see what's going on through your eyes. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could play the Don't Look at the Command Center game. Not a big deal. I mean, I think it's a bigger deal for Zerg. It's kind of a big deal for Terran, and not as big of a deal for Protoss. Because Protoss, you got to go back to your base to warp stuff in anyways. And for Terran, you got to go back to your base to build supply depots. But a Zerg can do it all from the battlefield, so I mean, there is that, except for the creep tumors, of course. Alright, so it slows down a little bit. Alright, so you see the hatchery going up, all that stuff. You have a barracks that's going to be finishing up here in just a second. And a refinery, so going for the gas, going for their Hellion. Very good job. Excellent timings on all that, looks like so far. Actually, you could get the gas slightly sooner, but not a big deal. Actually, wait a minute. Look at the timing here. No, actually, it's fine. You can get the gas then. So now you're going to be able to forward your factory in like a second. So, I mean, that's actually pristine timing there. Very good job. And there's that factory going down. Zerg producing some Zerglings, 4 Zerglings to scout things out. Getting that reactor going for that factory. Very, very well timed. Very well timed. I do gotta say that. Yeah, it's gonna be a sec before we actually see some good stuff. Commands are going down after the factory. Very good. Excellent timings. Idle SV, gotta worry about that a little bit. I see that you have like very good timings with this beginning build. That's good. That's excellent. I would just look at other areas of your play, like idle SVs, supply blocks. Right now you're supply blocked, so you can only produce like these 2 Hellions are just coming out. Okay, well now you're okay, whatever. But you were supply blocked for a second. And it's not really that big of a deal if it's just for a second, but I mean, might want to just look at that kind of thing a little bit more. Did you screen really right there for all that time? Okay, there you go. Actually, I'm just going to take it off yours. So we can look at the greater picture here. Now, Zerg has the expansion going up. He does have the droners going. Evolution Jammer coming up. He just killed the Rockseer for his 3rd expansion. And yeah, here comes the Hellions. Whoops, let's just look at them. Yeah, I have it on very slow scroll for my analysis and casting, so I mean, it's kind of like whatever. I can't really scroll places really fast, but I mean, it does make it look a little bit nicer. Alright, so you see a roach, you back off, you see the queens, alright, can't really do anything. Good, you don't want to run in there and just lose all your stuff, because that is exactly what would have happened with all this stuff guarding it. And you actually force a lot of roaches, so I mean, you're doing pretty good. I do want to make note, though, these Hellions, you should have them around the map, just looking around, like you could pick off this creep tumor, just be a nuisance. I mean, right now, I believe you're at the level where you could just work on, like right now you have excellent, like you're doing really good with building timings and all that. I would just say try to work on moving stuff around in the middle of the map while adding on buildings and supply depots. I mean, your supply depots are getting a little bit blocked. Engineering Bay, idle SVs, that kind of sucks. You don't want to do that either. But yeah, I would focus a little bit more on controlling the map, like having your Hellions at the watchtower. They're fast enough. I mean, they can generally get away. I mean, actually, they can always get away. Especially against roaches, you can definitely get away. So don't worry about having them out there. have one at the watchtower, maybe a couple at the front here picking off creep tumors, maybe all of them at the front. Zerg's not going to leave the base if you're at the front, so I mean that's just a good way to zone the map, make it so that, okay, you're not going to leave your base, my guys are here, if you're going to leave your base, I'm going to know about it. So that would help out quite a bit. Now Zerg kind of like still has map control on you despite you having all these Hellions out, so I mean that's really not very awesome. And normally I'd say that's not a big deal if you're a low level player, but I believe that you are at the level where you can go a little bit beyond that. You need to start thinking about army movements, where to put my army. Obviously right now your money's a little bit high. Not a big deal. I mean, I would work on it, especially your supply depot macro, but just try to keep some guys out here. And now because the creep spread is so far out, like this attack is going to be really wimpy. Because if you siege up on creep, or even if you don't have tanks, if you're on creep, dudes are just going to instantly be in your face, and it's just going to suck. So you want to like do that a little bit differently. I mean, if you had the layer finish right now, then this would have been even worse. But yeah, and then of course retreat when you can. He doesn't have fast roaches, so I mean, you could actually just get out of there. If you have to abandon the tank, just get your guys out of there, because that battle, if you think about it, he didn't lose all that many roaches during all that. Now he has a big, strong counterattack. Whereas if you retreated, joined up with these guys, you would have had like maybe twice as many guys here, and then defending this a lot easier if you pulled a couple of SVs off with that type of thing. So, yeah. So this doesn't go very well. This actually totally sucks if you're in this position as Terran. Here comes the SVs. I do want to make note, you do not want to do this, ever. Do not, like, if all your guys die, do not send your SVs over to attack what's killing you after they die. You want to try to make that decision before your guys actually die, because these SVs are there. I mean, think about it, the SV actually only has 5 damage, which is like nothing. And I think everyone really knows that, and you say, okay, at this point I really need to use my SVs to do it. And you might see pro players take their SVs off, but the idea is you want your SVs to absorb damage. Like Marines have 45 hit points, 55 with combat shield. SVs have 45, which is pretty okay. So an SV is like a Marine, except the Marine has much higher DPS. So if you like have a shield of SVs with your Marines, that's like having like 90 hit points on your Marine. Like every SV you add on. So you're keeping the same DPS pretty much, and just adding on some like armor to it. Right now you're adding the armor without any like actual attacks, so it's kind of like not that great. So if possible, keep them together. If you really need to defend with your SCVs, then use them to defend with your army, not after your army dies. So yeah, now you lose all your SCVs, and yeah, so that could have gone a little bit better. That's all I'm saying. So now it looks like Zerg's adding on some more units, some roaches. Generally speaking, as Zerg, you like retreat once the SVs have come off. I mean, you retreat if you're losing all your guys, but at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, if you attack me with SVs, I'll just stay here and kill some SVs. It's going to be totally worth it. So yeah, now you're a little bit behind on the SV counts. Not a huge deal. You do have some extra money. Plop down a command center, try to expand, and all that good stuff. Because you do have quite a bit of money saved up. The other thing I wanted to talk about is you do get your buildings a little bit too slow. One thing I do want to talk about, because you are at this level of play, is powering. Powering is something that I feel like a lot of lower level players don't quite understand. So I want to go over it again. I go over it quite often. I think I've done it like the last 2 analyses or analyses or whatever. But the idea is, okay, well actually let's talk about this type of powering. Okay, this type of powering is like, okay, when you expand, like you had your command center going up after that factory, you harassed with those Hellions, which is great. That's really good. You got your command center going. But once the command center actually lands here and you pull your half your SVs off to mine here, you're gonna start getting like a boost in income. Like if you have 50 SVs here, or let's just say 40 for whatever argument's sake, you have 40 here. Now of course you only have 16 minerals here, so you're actually some of those aren't quite as useful as if you had. Because it takes 2 to mine 1 mineral field. 3 can mine it, but it's not nearly as efficient, so you want 2. So I mean, if you take half of them, split them up over here, then they're all mining at 100% efficiency, and you're just going to have a big boost of minerals. So as you expand, you want to add on a bunch of production buildings, especially barracks. I mean, of course, factories too, but barracks, since you're going to have a big rush of minerals initially, and then you get your gas maybe a little bit later, maybe right away, then yeah, you get your factories going. But yeah, otherwise you're going to have a ton of money saved up, and that's just like a good time to just power and get up your stuff, especially with your Hellions controlling the map, picking off creep tumors and all that. That's just going to be like a good way to control the map, so you're able to power and get up a bunch of, get your economy going, getting your expansion up, and all that good stuff. Usually powering is talking about like adding on a bunch of buildings at once, like cutting production a little bit to add on a bunch of buildings at once, and it'll let you get more units at once. But this, to me, is like another form of powering, just adding on a bunch of buildings as you expand, because that's right when you'll be getting a big rush of money. So yeah, Zerg has really good creep because you didn't have those Hellions out there, so it's kind of tricky from here on out. You can't really just send guys out here to kill off creep tumors, because like they'll just die. So I mean, if you have extra money, then yes, you can just throw away a couple of Marines there. That's fine. And you can do it. I guess you can do it right now, but I'll just be really careful, because Zerg has a lot of bases at this point, and you don't have a lot either. So you got to be really careful with what units you do have. All right, let's see what else is in my notes. Oh, I also noticed that when you do push out, you are adding on guys at your barracks. Really good. I noticed your factories are on a different hotkey, and you don't necessarily add on guys from your factories. So you just gotta try to do both, because otherwise your gas gets pretty darn high, and then at this point it's like really hard to spend that gas, because well, you need Marines to support your tanks, and you can't just get all tanks. And getting all tanks is really the only way you can lower that gas. So I mean, that would actually be really difficult. So now you're going for a big push. This creep is actually very dangerous to push on. You want to take care of the creep earlier. That's I gotta drill that into your head, because this is why this attack goes so poorly, because these roaches are just able to rush right in there and just kill you off. Also, the creep of course gives Zerg vision. So I mean, if you didn't have this vision, you wouldn't know you're even coming. And then you can siege up a little bit closer to the, if the creep was down here, you could just siege up here, or even back here. This would be an excellent spot to siege up by this, this low ground here. Going to be making it very hard for roaches and Zerglings to actually attack that. But yeah, just be careful on the creep, because you're at the level of play where that's going to start mattering a lot. Alright, so here it is the attack again. Zerg. Yeah, and some guys to help with that. Now, I'd say the movement of units here, you put your Marines and tanks at the watchtower, which is good. You just want to really try to nail this creep, or the creep here. And I'd say that sieging up here is good. I'd say sieging up, I don't know, I'd say spread out your guys a little bit more, first of all. Second of all, this is not a good spot to really siege up, because the creep is there. Because the roaches just run up and attack you then, or Zerglings or whatever. So you want to cut back the creep and try to stay off the creep and just be right behind it. So whenever, I don't know, I think I've gone over it enough, but I'm just saying, be careful of where you siege up. But yeah, you do have your third at your gold, which is excellent. You just gotta be really careful of where you put your stuff. This is actually a very tricky thing. You don't do you want to put your tanks here, or back here, or what? No matter what you do, it's gonna be really, really tricky. This here, I don't think is a bad spot. It's kind of whatever you want. But you do want to spread them out a little bit more, maybe a tank here and a tank out here. That's gonna help a lot, to be perfectly honest. It's not so much that you want all your tanks firing at once, because then they'll both fire at one Zergling, and yeah, you'll do major amounts of damage to that one Zergling and the Zergling surrounding it. But if you have them spread out more, you'll hit one Zergling, that Zergling will die, you'll do some damage to the other ones, and then you'll hit another one, and you'll do the full amount of damage to two Zerglings, and then splash even more guys. So that's what I thought. And yeah, this kind of thing with the creep. You gotta be really careful with when you move out, and of course, since Zerg has so many bases, he's just gonna have more stuff than you at this point. So yeah, I would just say take more bases at the same time. Take this out. Expand here a little bit late when you have that many guys, and then just try to knock this out and expand up here right away, because you have a ton of money. Even if you end up just floating it up there without taking out the rocks, that's going to be much more worth it than having $2,000 in your bank. And then yeah, just not having enough guys. I think at this point you're kind of like, okay, I kind of lost, so you're not really playing at your fullest, but it happens, you know. Just making notes. Because yeah, Zerg definitely gonna pummel you some more with some more riches. But yeah, overall, just make more production buildings sooner. You do have a bunch of barracks here, which is good. I'll just say not enough. It's going to feel like a lot of buildings. It really is. It's going to feel like a ton of barracks. But if that's what keeps your money low, then that's what keeps it low. Don't try to say, like, oh, I only need this many barracks, because that's how the pros do it. I feel like that is the wrong way to go about it, because no matter what, that's not going to make you faster. Like, you know, like you like it's kind of like you got the setup for a good player, but you don't have the speed for it, and you don't have like the know-how and stuff for it. So like you don't have the money management up there. So you're just gonna like have a ton of money. Now if you have like no money here, then yeah, you can like start maybe like reducing the amount of production you have and work on it that way, but just try not to have too much money. Like even at Masters level, like Zergs will not, well, like they'll have a ton of money, and that's could have been all Zerglings, could have been awesome, could have been a lot of depth. So yeah, like at this point, Zerg could just throw up a Nidus here, assault you with all these guys, and just throw in a bunch of Zerglings into your main, and you could lose a bunch of supplies, and that would suck. But yeah, that's more like Masters level, so don't even worry about it yet. Let's see, did I miss anything else? Guess the other thing I could talk about is if your opponent has a bigger army than you, definitely run away. Just run away. Even if it's like equal, run away. The only time you want to engage it is if you know you have a much bigger economy than your opponent. And right now, Terran obviously doesn't. Zerg could really just bust in here with whatever he wants. So he has a bunch of bases. Really could have more drones. How many drones does he have? 73. Okay, well, they could split him up a little bit more. Got too many as natural. Looks like he did take all of his out of his main. And yeah. So yeah, if you just put those ones at the natural over here and over here, you could have even more money, and that would be even more Zerglings. So yeah, gotta be careful. But yeah, Broodlord's gonna be washing the place out, and yeah, that just totally sucks. For the record, you don't want Thors against Broodlords. You just don't want to do it, because they do extra damage to light against air. Broodlords are massive, armored, massive, no light, so that's not gonna help out. You want Vikings if at all possible, but then of course Corruptors are there. Actually, Vikings are better than Corruptors, just for the record.